How do you think China is reacting to how the West reacted to Russia's invasion of Ukraine?
Yeah, that's a great question. On the day of the invasion, I was asked by the Daily Telegraph in London to write an article for them on what Ukraine might mean for Taiwan. And this was before the West kind of started to get its act together. And I wrote in that article, the opening line was, Xi Jinping will be watching the West's response to the Ukraine invasion very closely. And if our response is weak, he will be emboldened. I think, but it's probably too early to tell, but I think that the fairly, to me, pleasantly surprising way in which actually the West did start to react more strongly and more swiftly in both senses of the word.
That's a very particular type of pun.
And particularly Germany's complete turnaround. I hope that will have sent Xi Jinping a signal that will give him pause for thought. And also, of course, the fact that the invasion has not gone entirely Putin's way. So let's hope that is a cautionary note for Beijing.
I think there's really only one possible explanation for this, which is that everyone from those countries read your article.
That's what got the German chancellor. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how else to explain Germany.
I had read in the Washington Post that it was like President Zelensky from Ukraine like pleading with the European Union that made a big difference. But who knows if that's true or not?
No, I think it was Benedict's article. Yeah.
I would give much more credit to President Zelensky, I think.
I do think that there's something interesting here, though, that like while we hope that Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party, they've looked at this and been like, oh, this might not be as easy as we think. I don't think we should be complacent that this has actually stopped them or paused them in a meaningful way, because there is definitely, I think we see this in Russia's invasion of Ukraine too, where there's like a level of arrogance, right? For Putin thinking that like, oh, well, obviously this is just going to be another special military operation where it's going to happen really fast and nobody's going to really respond to it. And I could totally see the Chinese Communist Party looking at what happened with Russia and Ukraine going, well, yeah, they messed that up. But, when we take Taiwan, we're going to do it better. We are going to get Taiwan much faster. We're going to learn from their mistakes. We're going to make sure we're off the international monetary system. Like, we're just going to make sure that when we do it, we're going to do it way better than Russia did.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. We certainly shouldn't be complacent. And I think we were too complacent, even though all the warning signs of the invasion of Ukraine were there. We kept thinking that it wasn't going to happen. So absolutely, complacency should be off the table. And as you say, I think China could well be looking at this and learning lessons. I mean, they did the same in a way when the Soviet Union collapsed, and they learned lessons from that because they were determined not to allow the same thing to happen to them.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say to the Communist Party's credit is they're very clever. They're very good at sort of duct taping up bad situations, and they're very good at learning from other people's mistakes. And I know that doesn't explain all of their behavior, but like every crisis that has beset China over the last 2 decades that I've been following it, like I'm always awe is maybe the wrong word, but it's always a surprise to me how well they're able to sort of deal with some problem that they have caused, for example. Kind of like, economic crisis. Well, they've come up with this solution to solve it. And yes, maybe that'll create more problems, but then they end up figuring out a way to solve that, right? Even the Hong Kong problem, which is that people were protesting, like they solved it with a national security law. And that's created a new set of problems, but they're also in the process of solving that new set of problems.
Well, this is something we've talked about on China Uncensored, like how China is trying to use the Russian invasion of Ukraine for its own advancement. that they're trying to essentially turn Russia into a North Korea kind of situation where, like with North Korea, China can be the middleman, the intermediary, the only ones who can get Russia to listen to them. And so China then becomes very important in this whole kind of geopolitical game of chess.
Yeah, we need China to help us work with Russia and mediate this. If we got to rely on, because Xi Jinping and Putin are such good friends.
Yeah, absolutely right. I think they're extremely skilled at, and just when we were beginning to make progress in people waking up to the challenge and the threat of China, along comes Russia, and people are saying we need China. They say the same over climate change. So yeah, I agree. They play that very well.
And this is the big question. After Russia invaded Ukraine, you heard people saying, "Oh, it's worth spending a little more money to, stop to be less reliant on Russia to stop Russia." And it's like, why haven't they been saying that about China ever?
Because we're way more reliant on China than we are on Russia.
Yeah, and so the question is, if China were to invade Taiwan, would we have that same attitude?
Mm.
Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, let's hope we are pleasantly surprised. But and let's hope also that we're not caught by surprise, which I think we were, even though we had a lot of warning with Ukraine. We should have been with Ukraine. We should have been actually putting sanctions on China before the invasion, not afterwards, and sending arms to the Ukrainians before the invasion, not afterwards. And so let's hope we can start doing the same with Taiwan to prevent it happening rather than reacting when it does happen.
Very true. Well, so one other thing I want to talk about is, since you are such a special person to the Chinese Communist Party, obviously, so many firsts for you, what do you think is next? How do they top life imprisonment?
Oh, for Benedict, you mean? What's next for Benedict? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm waiting to see. I don't know if you know that I'm working on a book at the moment, which basically looks at all the major human rights issues. So it's a long book covering Hong Kong, the Uyghurs, Tibet, the persecution of Christians, the persecution of Falun Gong, organ harvesting, the crackdown on civil society and lawyers, and then, of course, Taiwan as well. And that will come out towards the end of this year. And it'll be interesting to see how they react to that. It probably
so it's every third rail issue in one book.
Yes,
perfect.
And it will probably come out either in time for or just after the plenum, the party plenum that's taking place later this year.
Well, that's exciting. I didn't know you were working on that book. We'll have to have you back on when that comes out.
So, sounds pretty comprehensive.
Regina Ip's going to love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Maybe you could get her to do a blurb.
Yes.
Get her to write the foreword for it. That'd be very nice. Actually, that'd be great because it would be like, do not read this book. It's horrible. It's totally full of lies.
Well,
you could put that. Actually, get her to tweet about it, which she might actually do, and then you can use that as the foreword to your book.
Absolutely.
Well, they are helping you sell this book. I mean, from The Wanted Fugitive, Benedict Rogers, comes a book the Chinese Communist Party doesn't want you to read.
Yeah, wow.
This is pretty good. Yeah. You'll be the next Tom Clancy.
Yeah, be sure to tell your publicist, to have you like that.
Reach out to Regina Ip and Carrie Lam, and it'll be fun.
Yeah.